Alrighty, many of us art teachers were faced with the dilemma of hearing a student say, I can't draw, or anything like that. So maybe a new solution is removing the student from the equation of drawing and instead creating little devices like this that draw for them. It's a simple machine using wooden spools and rubber bands and clothespins and using a marker. All you do is you wind it up. I've got mine preset. You let it go on the piece of paper and it'll start drawing some nice little swirls and circles. As you can see, it goes. Now it doesn't last very long, but it's still pretty effective in at least getting started, and sometimes depending on the tension of the rubber band they can really spin around quite a few times, or as mine is doing right now, it is kind of going very, very slowly. So here's how we build them. You will need a wooden spool, a clothespin, some rubber bands, a small wooden disc, a paper clip, a small wax disc, a dowel rod to cut. Some tools that you'll be using to create this is a small little drill if you have one, a saw if you have one, and your standard flathead screwdriver. Once you have all of your supplies ready, it's time to start building everything. So the first thing you want to do is take your dowel rod, and you're going to want to cut off, using the saw, a small dowel rod that is no bigger than the circumference of your small wooden disc. So I'm going to do that real quick. Once you have your small little dowel rod, now you just need to prepare the other supplies. So you're going to take your small wooden disc, you've got a little drill bit, and you're just going to try to find the center as best you can. Now with the little wooden disc, you want to find as soft a wood as you can, because it won't take too long. You just drill right through. You don't really want to poke through, you don't want too many splinters or anything like that, but just drill right through. Now, the problem with this hole is it's not going to be that big. So we're going to use the screwdriver in an unconventional way. We're just going to try to expand that hole just a little bit. That way it'll be able to fit a rubber band through it. Okay, so I'm going to expand my hole a little bit. Like so. Just going to get rid of some of the splinters, because we really don't want these splinters so that they're not going to tear the rubber band. So hopefully, I'm not sure if it'll show up on the video, but you have a little daylight coming through the hole in your wooden disc. Okay? Now, as far as the rubber bands go, I had a small pile here, but what you're going to want to do is you just want a nice thick rubber band. You don't want some of these ones, the thin ones, okay, because they might break when you start winding up your machine. So we'll get rid of those, and besides, they're probably more useful as like hair ties and whatnot.
I'm so pretty.
Okay, so we'll get rid of those. You only need one large rubber band, okay, so I'll get rid of those as well. Okay, so then we have our spool, we have our disc. The next part is you're going to have a small wax disc that's made out of crayons. Okay, it's about yay big. Now some of you might be lucky enough to have a little device that melts crayons for you in your art room.
Melt, you crayons, melt!
For those of you who don't have one, my best solution is if you can figure out a way to melt crowns and create small discs. Like you could probably use small Dixie cups or something to create a nice circular wax disc by melting some crowns. Or if you can find small discs of styrofoam, those work well too. Okay? So then the next part is, what are we going to use this paper clip? Now the paper clip is only a paper clip when it actually clips paper. What we're going to do is we're going to transform the small little paper clip into a tiny hook. Like so. Oh, and one thing I'm forgetting. Once you have the wax disc and it is fully dry and hard, you're just gonna, once again, same thing you do with the wooden disc, is you're gonna drill right on through. You do not want to break your wax disc because the crown wax can be a little brittle. Now if you want a stronger disc, you could mix some crown wax with some candle wax. That seems to make the discs a little bit stronger. I don't have any candle wax, and quite frankly the crown discs are pretty effective for this device. Okay, so again, I'm using the screwdriver in an unconventional way by expanding the hole on my wax disc, and hopefully maybe you can see a little bit of daylight there. Okay, so now we have all of our stuff prepared. So the very first thing is we're going to take our nice thick wide band rubber band and our little tiny dowel rod. So we're going to make a loop on one side of the dowel rod and then extend the other side of the rubber band around and through the loop, like so, and you want to make sure it's nice and tight. This provides the anchor for the winding device. Okay, like so. Then the next thing is now that we have our paper clip that's no longer a paper clip and it's a hook, we're just going to go ahead and hook on to the rubber band, stick it through our wooden disc, and again, if you get rid of the splinters, that'll help so that the rubber band lasts longer. And anytime like something breaks on these little devices, the nice thing is that these materials are pretty cheap enough to where you can always fix them and rebuild them. Okay, so we've got the rubber band through our disc, like so. Again, we're going to make sure that we've got the hook, our little paper clip hook. Now we're going to take our wooden spool and stick the paper clip up through the hole so that we can grab it on the other end and pull our rubber band through. And now it's going to start getting a lot tight, pretty tight. Okay, so you're really going to have to make sure you're pulling through and getting everything as far through as you can. Then, now that we have our wax disc prepared with the hole in it, again, you're just taking your paper clip hook, going through the hole, and extending the rubber band through those holes. Okay, now the device is almost complete. Now you take your little alligator clip or clothespin, and you're going to want to try and get the loop through. So this is where it kind of gets a little tricky. Sometimes it's a little helpful if you have a partner to help you out. But make sure you extend your rubber band. There's no glue on this. This is all held together by the rubber band on the inside of the wooden spool and all the other devices. So then you take your alligator clip, open up its jaws, and slide it on through. Easier said than done, like I said. Slide it on through the rubber band loop. Okay? You want to try to get it as far down as you can till it hits the little metal part of the alligator clip. Then you kind of want to set the device a little bit to where the alligator, the clothespin is kind of sitting right on the wax disc. Now your device is prepared. Okay? Now, one other thing that I have noticed when we make these machines is that the wooden disc is very smooth, and when you set that smooth surface on a piece of paper, the device tends to just spin around and not actually move anywhere. So there's two ways you can fix this. You can take another rubber band and just wrap it around the disc like so. But then, again, this is easier said than done, because sometimes your rubber band might be too large or it might be too tight. So what I would recommend is you could always take hot glue and just do a little drip around the edge of your disc. That gives it a gripping surface for when you lay it down on a piece of paper and you wind it up, and it allows the disc to grab the paper and move around. Now, the last little material that we're missing is you need a marker. Whenever you place the marker, just open up your alligator clips and clip in your device. Clip it into your device, take the cap off, and anytime that you set it on a piece of paper, before you wind it up, you kind of want to just get it all set up. You want the alligator clip, the clothespin, and the marker to kind of create a little triangle. That way it helps keep it steady on the piece of paper. And then all you got to do is wind her up. So you hold the alligator clip, you wind up your dowel rod, and what this creates is it starts twisting the rubber band on the inside of the spool, and it creates tension to the point where the rubber band wants to release that tension. So when you set it down and let go, all that tension that is built up starts winding the device around the piece of paper. Now, it gets a little tricky because the first couple times that you might do this, the machine might not work. It does not mean that the machine itself is dysfunctional or anything like that. It just means that maybe not enough tension was built up to release the energy of the device. So it's just a simple thing of making sure that you want to have enough tension on the other side of the rubber band, and then hopefully it'll work. And as you can see, I did not glue, I did not put a sticky surface on my disc, so it didn't really spin anywhere. Hopefully that was informational, and hopefully your guys' devices work perfectly, or imperfectly. Remember, machines aren't people. We build the machines. Sometimes the machines don't work, just like we don't work.
Go!
Oh, look at mine!
Hey, son of a...
It was working until it hit his. Did you see that?
Oh my...
You guys over there doing that, and this is mine.
Cool.
Here, I'll help you.
Oh, you're... Yeah.
Do you have a color to me?
Do it again.
Rubber band. Mr. Tenny, my rubber band broke.
We'll get you a new one.
I wish Gabe was here. No, let them fall.
This is not.
Mine's gonna hit yours.
Jacob,
Come on.
move the pencil.
Let them fall. No, it's gonna hit mine. I'm gonna be mad. I'm suing. I want your insurance. Let's see who's stronger.
It works when this.
I don't think neither one of us is gonna move. I think mine's gonna win.